Francois, thank you very much for talking to us today.
Sure.
What's been the impact of the crisis in 2011 on the secondaries market, and what can be done to ensure that secondaries deliver decent returns?
Look, I think on the secondaries market, it's a bit contrarian to what you would expect for the private equity market. So on the private equity market, obviously, and in general asset management, you're going to have some kind of skepticism about investors about what should I do? What should I do? Because the markets are upside down and there's a lot of uncertainty. By definition of who we are, i.e. a bit contrarian to the private equity market, it's going to raise still more opportunities, even compared to record years like 2010.
How important do you think emerging markets are now in private equity?
I think emerging markets have been important in investment in general for a long time. In private equity, it's starting with new teams on the ground, new skills being developed, but it's still a moderate part of the allocation that you could find in private equity, mainly because of how much money you can deploy. So at the end of the day, it will remain for quite some time probably just a minor part of the investment, and for quite some time as well, you will have to trade off between growth in those markets versus potentially lack of skills or potentially too much people willing to go there, versus, for instance, Europe, where you've got maybe a market which is more saturated, but definitely very long experience and very good skills in professionals.
What role do you envisage fund of funds playing within a strategic investment portfolio?
I think the fund of fund question is a question which is not appropriate for any portfolio. And so you would have people who have the skills and the resources. The resources is very important to go direct into a number of funds. You will have forever new entrants coming into private equity and in need of selection of GPs. You know, in the current private equity environment worldwide, you've got thousands of GPs. If you have someone coming and saying, I want to allocate 2% of my money into private equity, and they have only one or two people to do the screening through those thousands of GPs, by definition, fund of fund is a very attractive value proposition.
On balance, do you think increasing regulations are beneficial for the private equity industry?
You know, I think it's a very difficult question, this one, to answer, because the philosophy should be very positive. And the philosophy is you want an industry which is healthy, which competes properly, which is well understood by the overall public environment, because you want to make sure that people understand the value we create and how we can help the economy overall. So from that perspective, being more integrated with regulation is very important. The flip side is, of course, that as soon as you have too much of it, in particular too much of it if it's related to a financial crisis and then too much panic and so an overreaction effectively, then it becomes value destructive.
Francois, thank you very much.
My pleasure.